Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and another Honkai Star Rail video. And not just any Honkai Star Rail video, but our very first unit analysis video for this game. And before I begin my analysis, let me assure you all that I do have adequate experience in making unit analysis from many other previous games I played, and I do take the utmost due diligence in providing you all with the most accurate, brutally honest info as possible. Alright, so the character that has the honor of being the very first Honkai Star Rail character I do an analysis on is Jing Yuan, who is the newly released 5-star character that I've already put hours into testing and theory crafting with. So Jing Yuan is going to be a lightning damage DPS character that focuses on doing AoE damage. And while I think this character looks cool, unfortunately from my analysis I found Jing Yuan to be woefully unreliable, underpowered, underwhelming, uncultured, uninspiring, unintelligent, and just flat out unimpressive. So for those who just want a quick answer on whether to summon or not, the answer is a resounding no, and feel free to click off the video here, as the rest of this video will get more into the advanced theory crafting calculations on why Jing Jan is so lackluster. The first obvious issue with Jing Yuan is that he is fully all in on doing AoE damage. This is just a niche that really isn't needed for the hardest content in the game, such as the Cordelia boss fight and the Kafka boss fight, or really just any difficult fight in this game doesn't require AoE except a very few. But even for these few fights where lightning damage AoE would be desirable, the thing is Serval just fills this role far better than Jing Yuan. And really, this shouldn't be too shocking for those familiar with Hoyoverse, as it's just become very apparent from character balance in Genshin Impact that the company has a Western feminist agenda, so it was unlikely that Serval was going to be power crept by her male counterpart. Like, name me one male DPS in Genshin Impact that is superior to his white female counterpart. Can't think of any right away, that's what I thought. Putting that aside, and I could go on a whole other rant on how modern feminism has ruined balance in video games, believe me, let's just for now show the raw numbers comparing Serval and Jin Yuan. So on initial glance at the data, we see Jin Yuan has a higher attack stat than Serval, and when comparing their E abilities targeting 3 enemies, we see he does do a fair bit more damage. And not only that, he also has his Dragonlord henchman that acts separately from him to do even more damage. So all of this may confuse people that this makes Jin Yuan an upgraded Serval. However, while the Dragonlord may look cool, Serval also has her own far superior version of a Dragonlord in the form of her shock damage. So first let's calculate the Dragonlord damage, and for this I extended a lot of good faith and assumed the Dragonlord hits all 3 enemies, which depending on chance won't always be the case as it can easily hit an outside enemy. Anyways, the Dragonlord adds 55.1 damage. Wow, very good, so impressed. But let's take a look at Serval's shock damage now. Now for Serval, she has a probability of 80% independent of each enemy to apply her shock effect. So for her, we can't quite calculate a guaranteed damage number, rather we can only calculate an expected damage number based on this probability. This is clearly a Bayesian analysis problem. And when we plug in our data, well, first we need to select the statistical function we want to use to model this. I just use the kth central. But anyways, when we plug in our data, and we plug in our data into the supercomputer to solve this equation, we see that Serval has a staggering 132.768 attack, added by her shock damage. This puts Jing Yuan's Lightning Lord henchman to shame in a major way. And adding these values up, we see that Serval's E ability is about 25% more powerful than Jing Yuan, which is embarrassing considering I extended maximum good faith in the Dragonlord's RNG factor. Next, comparing their ultimates is just depressing. So calculating the ultimate DPS efficiency in Honkai Star Rail is just the exact same equation that is used in Genshin Impact energy burst calculations. And when we plug in the data, we see that Jing Yuan is below 90% DPS efficiency on his ultimate, which is just depressingly bad. Now, last, I will offer Jin Yuan a small Constellation prize over Serval for his basic attack, as it does just simply do more damage. But the thing is, your DPS character is meant to spam abilities and not really basic attack. And also, if you happen to get a second copy of Serval to unlock her E1, which shouldn't be too hard to come by, then her basic attack actually becomes far better than Jing Yuan's. And very lastly, if being outclassed in all of his abilities by a free-to-play character wasn't humiliating enough for Jing Yuan, well, the final kick to his nutsack is that I didn't even take into account Serval's DPS steroid that offers her 20% more attack on defeated enemy. This just greatens the discrepancy between them even more, and Jing has no similar attack increase steroid of his own to help compete. Ultimately, Jing Yuan is outclassed, outshined, outperformed, outsmarted, and outpaced in every imaginable way, and honestly, pulling him over any other 5-star is account ruining, and I would just honestly re-roll an account if that happened to me as a new player. Anyways, that's all for this video explaining why I will not be summoning for Jing Yuan, and recommend others do the same unless they have a fetish for ruining their accounts.